And so welcome back to another one, you guys. If you are new to the channel, my name is Andrew with Younger Nissan in Frederick, Maryland. For more information on our inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So today we are in the brand new 2025 Nissan Pathfinder because I personally love the exterior styling. You also get 2 years or 24,000 miles of complimentary maintenance. This one starts at under $40,000, which is pretty impressive these days. And it has some pretty darn good towing capabilities actually as well. So ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one. So having said that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so as you can imagine, there are several different trim levels for the 2025 Pathfinder. First one being the S, starting at $37,070. Then you got the SV for $40,060, SL for $43,260. Rock Creek 4x4, which is the one we are in today, starting at $45,160. And lastly, the Platinum going for $49,810. That was a lot of trim levels. And so all of those trim levels, with the exception of the Rock Creek, come standard with front wheel drive. If you wanted to add four wheel drive to any of those other trim levels, you can do that. Simply add $1,900 then to any of those prices. But regardless of the trim level that you go with, the power plant on the Pathfinder is going to be the same. Powering the beast is a 3.5 liter naturally aspirated V6, putting out 284 horsepower at 6,400 RPM, 259 pound-feet of torque, coming in at 4,800 RPM. However, the Rock Creek trim is going to add 11 additional horsepower and 11 pound-feet of torque to those numbers if you go with the Rock Creek only. So I did want to specify that. But anyways, power is going to be sent to the ground through a 9-speed automatic with paddle shifters, which you guys know we will be testing out here in a little bit. 0 to 60 is going to come in at 6.7 seconds. Top speed, if you're interested, 119 miles per hour, with MPG numbers coming in at 20 in the city, 27 on the highway for the front-wheel drive, 20 city, 25 then on the highway for the four-wheel drive, taking premium unleaded fuel for better performance. However, regular unleaded fuel is actually perfectly fine as well. But so that before we do any kind of fun paddle shifter or acceleration test here in the Pathfinder, I did want to mention to you guys the drive modes. And so there's a circular dial located directly behind the shifter. Drive modes are going to include Sport, Eco, Auto, Tow, Snow, and Mud and Rut, adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, the steering sensitivity, the four-wheel drive system engagement, and the VDC tuning actually as well. So now having got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find it straight away. Let's put the paddle shifters and acceleration here to the test. I want to see how quickly the paddle shifters are going to react for us. And of course, let's see how quickly we can get this one here up to speed. All right, manual shift mode. I'm just going to slide the shifter back one more time. It's going to tell me what gear I'm in up on the digital portion of the gauges. In 3, 2, 1, go. Nice. That was nice. Okay, not a whole lot of space because there's people in front of me now, but paddle shifters were actually decent. Like not dual clutch decent, but pretty darn decent for an automatic transmission. So I like that. Not only that, that's a heck of an acceleration. You guys might have heard my phone went flying there because I'm navigating to this park here right now. But yeah, that's a heck of an acceleration. I loved it. Definitely more than enough for the size of this SUV and more than enough to merge you onto any highway here in the US. So there's nothing wrong with that. I don't think many people are going to be using the paddle shifters, quite honestly, but if you did want to use them, they're actually decent. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. So up front, you will find 13.8-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 13-inch solid rear discs. As far as that 6-0 stopping distance goes, that comes in at an extremely impressive 114 feet. That's a sports sedan number on paper right there. So I love that number. But as far as braking feel goes, it's fine. It's actually not as firm as that number led me to believe there, but it's average. It's pretty much what I would expect the braking feel to feel like. Not a super firm braking feel by any means, but it's not a soft braking feel either, like you typically get in SUVs. It's kind of right in the middle of the pack where it should be. So yeah, there's nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But let's go ahead and touch on suspension and handling real quick. Independent strut type front suspension, in the back independent multi-link rear suspension, front and rear stabilizer bars. On top of that though, if you go with the Rock Creek, you also get an off-road tuned suspension. So that's pretty sweet. But overall, since we're on road right now, as far as ride quality goes, it's been perfectly fine. Honestly, even with the all-terrain tires that we got on this beast, it's still plenty fine as far as just rolling down the road here. As far as steering feel goes, it is weighted a little bit on the heavier side of things, which I personally prefer. I love that because traditionally in three-row SUVs like this one, you find a much looser steering feel. It's a little less emotional, but This one, you got a little more motion to it, a little more play, so I like the little bit heavier of a steering feel in this thing. As far as cabin noise goes, now because of the tires that we have here, there is a little more road noise than I initially expected, but I would imagine if you did not go with the Rock Creek trim level, it may be a little more quiet of a ride otherwise, so just keep that in mind. I suppose that's the trade-off with this one. Touching on rear visibility though, since the third row headrests are down, I can actually see perfectly fine out of my rear view mirror, so 100% not gonna have any issues there. Did want to also mention though, in terms of forward visibility, if you were to go with the Platinum, you do get rain sensing windshield wipers, so it's gonna detect any kind of mist or rainfall on your windshield, kind of like automatic headlights, just one less thing you gotta worry about there. On top of that, you also get a head-up display, which we don't have with us here today, unfortunately, but that's gonna project your speed limit, and safety features up onto your windshield, so better helping you keep your eyes on the road yet again, so that's pretty cool too. But anyways, that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, you guys. Let's now go ahead and take a look at the exterior of our brand new 2025 Nissan Pathfinder. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2025 Nissan Pathfinder, finished in super black, in case you were curious of the exact exterior color name that we have with us here in this one. But as always, let's go ahead and start with where the Pathfinder is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the number 5, indicating that the Pathfinder is built and assembled here in the US, believe it or not. You gotta love it. So specifically Tennessee, in case you were curious about that. But let's go ahead and start up front on this one, because those 3 little accent pieces above the Nissan logo, that is going to be specific to the Rock Creek trim level, in case you were curious about that. Otherwise, they are not going to be there, of course. LED fog lights down below, also specific to the Rock Creek trim level. I wanted to mention that to start as well. As far as the grille goes, that's going to differ slightly yet again. You're going to get a chrome V-motion front grille for all trim levels but the Rock Creek. Rock Creek is going to give you a gloss black front grille. That, of course, is what you guys are looking at. I think it looks pretty darn good with our super black exterior personally. To the sides, you got LED headlights with LED daytime running lights. You get the automatic feature as well. You also get automatic high beams. So if you have your high beams on at night and it senses a vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams. And when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up the high beams for you there. So that is super convenient as well. But anyways, that pretty much rounds out the front end of the Pathfinder here. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. All right, so but now since we are around to the side of this one, black roof rails will come on the SV trim level and up. You're going to get silver roof rails, however, with the Platinum trim level roof rack for the Rock Creek trim level that we have with us here today. Chrome or gloss black belt line molding, dependent upon the trim level that you go with. Of course, rear privacy glass coming standard for all trim levels across the board then. Gonna find a floating roof line. You guys probably can't tell because the floating roof line is an accent piece on the C-pillar that separates the roof from the rest of the body. It's finished in gloss black, so if you have a black exterior, you're really not gonna notice it, obviously. Got some Pathfinder lettering found on the side skirts. Let me see if I can get up a little bit closer so I can actually show that to you guys, but that is located right there. Nice little accent piece. I always like the attention to detail, so wanted to mention it. You also get the Rock Creek lettering found on the front doors, if you were to go with that Rock Creek trim level at least. Taking a look at the side mirrors, they are body colored power adjustable side mirrors for all trims. They're going to be heated for the SV trim level and up. You're going to get LED integrated turn signals, however, for all trim levels across the board. Then if you were to go with the Platinum, they're going to be power folding with the reverse gear tilt down feature then as well. Then taking a look down at the wheel setup, they are going to be substantially different dependent upon the trim levels yet again. 18-inch aluminum alloys for that S and SV trim, 18-inch machine finished alloys for the SL. You're going to find 20-inch machine finished alloys for the Platinum, and then 18-inch beadlock style aluminum alloys for the Rock Creek with all-terrain tires, of course. So I think they look pretty darn good. But anyways, that pretty much rounds out the side. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, so but now since we are around to the back of this one, all the way to the top, body colored shark fin antenna. Just below that, rear spoiler with an integrated brake light. Just below that, you have a rear window wiper, of course. Got that Pathfinder lettering spelled out horizontally. That looks good. A little bit of trim level badging in the back as well. As far as towing capacity goes, I mentioned that at the beginning of the video because most 3-row SUVs will at max give you around 5,000 pounds, but Pathfinder actually comes in at 6,000 pounds, so it is a little above average for as far as 3-row SUVs go. So I did want to mention that in case you were thinking about towing in this one. Got the connector set up already back there as well, but just underneath of it all, there is a single exhaust outlet. It is tucked away. So having said that, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. As always, here is that exhaust clip. All right, so now since we are around to the back of the Pathfinder, when it comes to opening that rear tailgate, it is going to be a power tailgate now for the SV trim level and up. Previously, I think last year was the SL and Platinum, I want to say. So additional 2 trim levels now get a power tailgate on the Pathfinder. That is pretty sweet. A hands-free power tailgate coming with the Platinum trim level, of course. But there is a button on the key fob, there's a button on the tailgate itself, and there is a button by the driver's left knee then as well. But once opened up, cargo capacity comes in at 16.6 cubic feet behind that 3rd row. If that was not enough space, of course, the 3rd row does fold down, bumping that up to 45 cubic feet even. That's a good bit. Then with all rows folded, 80.5 cubic feet. So honestly, that's plenty of space for me. Got cargo lighting back there, tie down anchors. There's a 12-volt power outlet, grocery bag hooks on both sides in the back. That's pretty cool. Got a little bit of in-floor storage as well. And actually, it's not a little bit, it's a decent amount of in-floor storage. So you could put ice scrapers back there, several of them. You could put a tire inflator kit back there if you wanted to, although there is a spare tire underneath of the vehicle itself, so you got that. So that's pretty cool as well. But now let's go ahead and make our way up to the 3rd row legroom. That is going to come in at 28 inches even, which is less than my old Ford Mustang, quite honestly. But for reference, I'm an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the 3rd row. I will say you can move the 2nd row forward a little bit to make room for the 3rd row passengers. That will definitely work. So just a suggestion if you did need to use the 3rd row. But the other thing is, it was super easy to get into that 3rd row because it's just simply pressing one button and then you have access to it. So I liked that. Got cup holders back there, of course, USB charging ports if you go with the Platinum for the 3rd row. And of course, rear ventilation is going to come standard on the ceiling for all 3 rows, so I liked that as well. But then making our way up to the rear legroom, that is going to come in at 35.5 inches. For reference, I'm still an even 6 feet tall. This is how much space I had in the 2nd row there. Captain's chairs are going to come standard on the Platinum. They're going to be optional, however, for the SV, SL, and Rock Creek trim levels, an option that we have with us here, obviously. If you do go with the captain's chairs, you're also going to get storage in between those captain's chairs as well, which is kind of convenient. But heated 2nd row is going to come with the Platinum, rear window sunshades for the SL and Platinum. Dual rear USB charging ports do come standard, and tri-zone climate control also coming standard, so the rear passengers can actually set their own individual temperatures if you wanted them to. So that's pretty cool. But then making our way up to the front seats, manually adjustable cloth seating for the S, 10-way power driver's seat for the SV trim level and up, heated front seats for the SV trim level and up, 4-way power adjustable passenger seat for the SL trim level and up, leather seating for that SL, hence the L. Quilted leather seating though coming with the Platinum. Platinum is also going to give you memory settings and ventilated front seats too. But overall, as far as seat comfort goes, it was actually plenty fine. I didn't have any issues with it. I certainly wouldn't have any issues taking this thing on a long road trip. I like the Rock Creek lettering found in the upper portion of the seat too. That looks pretty cool. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the steering wheel. It is tilt and telescoping, and it is very telescoping, more so than I'm used to. And I've tested around 1,000 cars so far for reference, but steering wheel definitely comes out pretty far. So if you're a taller individual with longer legs, you need that steering wheel to come out a little bit further. And it definitely does in the Pathfinder, so I did like that. Leather wrap steering wheel for the SV trim level and up, and then heated steering wheel for the SL and Platinum trim levels. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key. It's a very heavy duty key by Nissan. I like it. Got lock, unlock, the button to pop the tailgate there, and then the circular button just underneath of that Nissan logo. That is going to be a remote start that comes on the SV trim level and up, but it is all keyless entry with a push button start for all trim levels. So all I'm going to do here, simply put my foot on the brake and press that black engine start button located just to the left of the center air vents there. And so Once started up, there are 2 different gauge clusters. You're going to find a full digital gauge cluster for the Platinum, but all other trim levels are going to get what you are currently looking at, which is the tachometer all the way to your left, speedometer is on your right, a fairly large digital screen front and center. You can control what is on there, obviously, through the steering wheel mounted controls, but all in all, it's a pretty basic gauge cluster. I wouldn't have minded if Nissan changed this up a little bit. They used to have some amazing gauge clusters, like in my Infiniti G35 Coupe back in the day, everything was like this yellowish orangish color, which I think looked amazing. But lately, and it's not just Nissan, a lot of manufacturers, it's just black and white. It's just boring. It needs something a little more lively. That's all I'm saying. But it still gives you things like how many miles you have left until you hit empty. There's outside temperature, so it gets the job done. It's just kind of boring. But now let's go ahead and make our way to overall interior quality. A panoramic moonroof is going to come standard on the Platinum, optional though on the SV and SL trim levels. You do have an overhead sunglass holder. I like that as well. You do have some interior lighting here that looks like it's from the 80s. I said that in my Rogue review as well. It's definitely the same lighting there. There's an auto-dimming rear view mirror with HomeLink controls for the SL and Platinum trim levels, interior accent lighting with the Platinum, wireless phone charger with the Platinum trim level as well. If you don't go with the wireless phone charger, you do get rubberized storage located just in front of the shifter here, a couple USB charging ports. To the right of the shifter, you have a little slot for your cell phone, which I was using earlier, and dual cup holders there. And then within the center armrest, a massive amount of storage in there, more so than I'm used to seeing for sure. The other cool thing about the Pathfinder is there's a lot of storage. There's a little bit more rubberized storage just above the passenger side glove box with Pathfinder etched into it. That's pretty cool. Hidden storage underneath of the shifter here as well. I know some other SUVs do that, but Pathfinder does it too. I think that's pretty darn cool if you wanted to kind of hide something out of the way. I like the orange contrast stitching because we got the Rock Creek trim level, of course. Overall, a lot of soft touch material. I personally don't have any issues with the interior quality. I think they did a pretty darn good job, but that's just my personal opinion. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the infotainment screen here. There's 2 of them. 8-inch color touchscreen display for the S, SV, and Rock Creek trim levels, but then a 9-inch color touchscreen display for the SL and Platinum trims. You get Bluetooth and audio streaming either way, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. Factory navigation system is going to come with the 9-inch screens. You can check out your stock and weather information up there if you wanted to, along with your radio information. So when it comes to the sound systems, there are 2 of them. You're going to find a 6-speaker sound system for all trim levels but the Platinum. That Platinum trim is going to give you a 13-speaker Bose sound system. So having said that, we do have that 6-speaker sound system, like I said, so let's go ahead and turn on the radio. Let's see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one. All right, that was interesting. There was actually a decent amount of bass with that 6-speaker sound system, so I think that's a pretty darn good sound system for just being 6 speakers. I mean, of course, it could be better. 6 speakers is slightly underkill for the size of this vehicle, but it did a good job, actually, for what it is. I'll just put it that way. But last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on that infotainment screen, at least, is when you do put the Pathfinder in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board. But in addition to that, if you were to go with the Rock Creek SL or Platinum trims, you're also going to get that 360-degree monitor there to the right, giving you that bird's eye view, which is always going to lead us into safety. And so let me start with the best part. IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus, which is the very highest designation given by IIHS, so it doesn't get any better than that. Front side curtain airbags do come standard, driver and passenger knee airbags up front as well. In the back, you're going to have latch, aka lower anchors to tethers for children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard, adaptive cruise control, forward collision warning, autonomous emergency braking with pedestrian detection, lane departure warning, lane keep assist, a blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert, rear parking sensors, and reverse automatic braking then as well. Then if you were to go with the SL or Platinum, that's going to add to that front and rear parking sensors and traffic sign recognition. But overall, when it comes to my final thoughts here at the Pathfinder, excellent safety. Let me just start with that, because you can't beat an IIHS Top Safety Pick Plus. That is what Volvos get, so you gotta love that if you have a family. Also, I love that the Pathfinder still uses a naturally aspirated V6 because that acceleration was instantaneous. It was very predictable, which I like. Turbocharged engines are starting to get on my nerves a little bit, not just because of the unpredictability with the acceleration, but of course they're not typically as reliable as their natural aspirated counterparts either, so that's why I love the naturally aspirated V6 in this thing. Also very nice styling. I think the Pathfinder still looks plenty fine today. And so, but that is about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow Younger Nissan on social media somewhere on the screen there. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews and all of our fun YouTube shorts we put on our channel as well, of course. We do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and we will see you guys all in the next video. Bye.